So, Vincenzo, where are we going?
So we're currently going to the last demonstration of a long day of mobilizations for Gaza in Florence and across the entire country. It's the neighborhood Le Piagge, which is a working class neighborhood. And there is this demonstration which we can translate as the Scream for Gaza, l'urlo per Gaza, which has been organized since the summer by the JKN collective.
Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 seppellire la sua montagna sotto l'ombra di un bel fiore.
I think really the kickoff came with the decision of the launch of the Freedom Flotilla to Gaza. And there was this idea launched by the dock workers in Genoa, who have been organizing quite a lot against the export of weapons through Italian ports to Israel and also to other countries which are in war. And they made it clear that if the flotilla, as it happened with the previous flotillas this summer and also in the past, if the flotilla would be blocked by the Israeli government, then we would need to really mobilize, in order to support the flotilla. And they launched this idea of essentially a strike if the flotilla would be stopped. And that kind of gave the way for the grassroots trade union USB, Unione Sindacale di Base, to which the dock workers collective belong, to launch a general strike on Monday 22nd today, and essentially to mobilize workers on the issue of genocide, on the issue of Palestine. And it was not only USB, also other grassroots trade unions, COBA, SCUB, we have several in Italy, also joined the strike. So yeah, this is how it started, and today was a really big day of mobilization. It was really impressive because we had thousands of people mobilizing across, I think now 80, 90 Italian cities. There were huge demonstrations in many cities, including Florence. And another interesting thing was that the idea of the demonstration was really that the strike would be disruptive as well, to use the strike to block the flows of goods, block roads, block highways, etc. Because usually even when there are general strikes, they tend to be pretty symbolic. There are demonstrations in the city centers, but usually they don't really have a major disruptive effect. While today in many cities, including Florence, where the highway was closed as a result of the demonstration and the strike, because the demonstration was held strategically very close to the highway entrance, but also in other cities where demonstrations ended up going to the train stations, for instance, in Naples or in Milano, where the police actually actively tried to stop the demo from entering into the train station. They used tear gas massively. So it was really massive, and I think definitely a good day for an Italian labor movement, which on average over the last few years have not been particularly conflictual. and that today was a bit different than that, and I think that's a good thing.
What about the demands?
So the entire day of strike was centered about this idea of ending the genocide in Gaza. But in a sense, of course, the main target is the Italian government, which has been really passive in enacting any of the measures that even moderate countries are now taking. For instance, recognizing the state of Palestine, as UK, now Canada, Australia, France recently announced. It's also been actively undermining attempts at the European level to, for instance, enact some form of trade sanctions, or withdrawing Israel from EU-funded programs as a form of pressure onto the Israeli government in order to kind of try to pressure the Israeli government to stop the genocide. And so this demonstration was also probably really addressing the Italian government to use its powers in order to try to end this genocide, put pressure on the Israeli government to end the genocide.
Okay. Do you think that the government and maybe the factory owners were influenced by this today?
Well, I mean, I saw that, I think on the one hand, the strike was clearly a success, and so they had to acknowledge this, and this is already a result. And I think this will push maybe the Italian opposition parties, which also, they have been to some degree moderate on the question of Gaza, and only recently they've started to be more vocal, and this will probably push them to be more vocal into this. As for the government, the strategy they're trying to use now is essentially trying to condemn, for instance, the clashes between the demonstration and the police in Milan, try to focus the media attention on this rather than on the fact that hundreds of thousands of people today in Italy decided to strike, decided to go on the streets and use their voice to actually ask the government to finally act and do something in order to stop the genocide. So we'll see. Also, it will also depend on whether this day is like the apex of the movement in a sense, or it's only maybe a starting point, and through autumn we're going to see kind of the political movement mobilizing for Palestinians' right to exist, to continue and to thrive. So that's still to be seen.
This is not the first strike for Palestine, right?
No. So to be fair, first of all, already in the previous months, grassroots trade unions already had put the issue of Palestine as the core of previous general strikes, although it was maybe also combined with other issues more related to the Italian national economic and political situation, whereas today was just really centered on the issue of Palestine. Plus, last week the main trade union confederation, the CGIL, also decided to call a strike on Friday. The union, so we have three main trade union confederations in Italy. CGIL of the three is the more left-wing one. So the union was already mobilizing in the previous weeks on the issue of Palestine, and then I think probably also as a result of the fact that many members felt that the union needed to act, they decided very quickly, in a sense, to call for a strike. But of course, the issue was that they decided to call for a strike, which was not a general strike because there were not the legal conditions to do so, because they decided only very late to call for a strike. So they called for a, let's call it an intersectoral strike. But the main issue is not that, but that they decided to hold the strike not on Monday, so in coincidence with the strike called by the grassroots trade unions, but on Friday, which in a sense, anticipated the strike of Monday, took a bit of momentum out of it, although in the end it seems that actually many people, probably also many CGIL members, decided to strike today rather than Friday, given the numbers that we have seen on the streets. So, yeah.
Do you have anything more to add about this?
Well, I mean, it's like the Italian left wing, the Italian labor movement is also fragmented. There are, of course, ideological differences which explain this. In general, grassroots unions tend to have a more militant and radical position than confederal unions, including the CGIL. This is very visible in sectors, for instance, like the logistics sector, where grassroots trade unions tend to use way more radical, kind of strong strikes and form pickets and forms of actions in comparison to the confederal unions. So you can explain this dynamic essentially into this broader picture of fragmentation in the Italian labor movement, ideological differences, and also a bit of competition, if you like, between different labor actors.
Thank you.
Yeah.